Spoilers! Not very large ones here, but there are some things that are in Season 3 of Beastars. You have been warned. In other news, you can support this channel by checking out my books. We'll chat about that later. Let's get to the video. You know how you get those word-a-day calendars and it's all fun and nice and whatever because you get to learn some new word and gain knowledge and all that boring stuff, right? It's nice, isn't it? Well, I have a word of the day for today, and that word is eugenics. It's going to be a fun day. This video, like all of these Beastars videos, is a more informal adaptation of parts of my MA dissertation. That version is a bit stuffier than this version, but you can read that one if you want. However, today I plan on just speaking about a nice little boy that you can find in Beastars, and his name is Jack. Jack is great. Let's first get that out of the way. I like Jack. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a dog and I love dogs. He's basically Legoshi's best friend, and so this bestie duo is made up of a wolf and a dog. A pretty good duo if I do say so myself. However, Jack also presents us with a problem. And that problem is fundamental to his existence within this world. And that is, who the hell made Jack? Now, it might be mean to just focus on Jack, because this actually applies to all dogs in the world of Beastars, but we're going to focus on just Jack. It's an easier shorthand. So, how was Jack made? You might say that he was made by a mommy and a daddy dog. That is how we come into being in this world. There is one who has the sperm and one who has the ovum, and together they produce a baby, or in this case, a puppy. But where did his parents come from? Where did dogs come from? You see, the world of Beastars, if we accept it as a world in which non-human animals essentially became the equivalent of humans, then it makes sense that we will find wolves, and tigers, and elephants, and so on. But dogs? Here's the problem. Dogs are a man-made creation. Dogs are not natural. They come from thousands upon thousands of years of selective breeding. They are all descended from the grey wolf, and they are all the same species. This is why a Jack Russell could mate with a Great Dane. They are the exact same species. So, how did dogs come into the world of Beastars then? I'm going to make a bit of an unprovable statement here. I think that when Itagaki Paru came up with this world and started to create it, she never considered the fact that dogs don't really make sense in this world. So, she ultimately added in an explanation to it later down the line. This explanation comes far later in the narrative, and it's quite dystopian. They seemingly exist because of a breeding program. It is eugenics. Now, eugenics is one of those little words that people have conveniently only applied to humans. When we do eugenics to animals, we usually call it selective breeding. This allows us to very nicely avoid certain associations that the word eugenics has with a particular ideology that is most associated with a certain political party in 1930s and 1940s Germany. However, we do eugenics to real-world animals all the time. We have bred dogs and cats to be as we want them, and also, of course, just tons of livestock animals. Chickens and cows are other examples, but they don't get the same kind of explanation in the fiction of Beastars. We just accept their existence and move on with our lives. So, why do we do eugenics to non-human animals? Well, for the same reason they did eugenics to people. They wanted to produce the perfect version of that particular creature. What it means to be perfect can differ based on context. The perfect human might be strong and beautiful and intelligent, but the perfect cow would produce the maximum amount of milk while requiring the least amount of food to gain the largest amount of weight. And that's because we want to eat them. That is their perfection in our eyes. And when people talk about eugenics, they often talk about how it was a misguided and immoral attempt to produce a perfect human. But I think it's probably more likely that we'd go for a Brave New World kind of thing. In that novel, humans are bred with a purpose. And if we want someone to be unintelligent, we make sure that they are damaged during fetal development. This is fundamentally dystopian. It is morally wrong, but it would benefit capitalism. Most of us would probably agree that it's wrong though. It's wrong to breed people for specific tasks. It removes free will. However, it's perfectly fine if we do it to animals, right? So dogs. Dogs in our world have been bred in a similar way. They are made to be perfect companions, great hunting animals, sniffers, and so on. We breed them for certain attributes and try to cull the so-called bad parts of the animal's gene pool. That's the real world. In Beastars, Jack eventually reveals to us that dogs have been selectively bred, and he fears that there will one day be a dog supremacist society. While the rest of the narrative becomes bogged down in Legacy's personal battles against Melon and the issue of meat in general, there is this quite dystopian future waiting for everyone. There is a whole race of people being bred to be better and smarter than everyone else. They are breeding a future elite that can subjugate the lesser animals that will no doubt come out of this. But this is all neglected and not spoken of any further, so it'll obviously be just fine. Move on with your life, people. This does beg a bit of a question though. Are the dogs in Beastars just straight up a bunch of fascist eugenicists? We aren't told that this is the case, but it certainly isn't denied. And I'll be perfectly honest, as someone who adores dogs, I don't think that I want them to become the bad guys in Beastars 2, The Rise of the Dog Reich. However, we aren't done here, because this leads us to a second question. Because if dogs are being bred in this world just like they are in our world, then who is controlling that breeding program? Is there a dog council that facilitates it? What is the end point of this breeding program? We could tie this into some of the themes explored in Beastars. For instance, the narrative as a whole is very concerned with the carnivores moving away from meat, and dogs are probably much better at surviving off a vegan diet. Or at least a lot more so than lions. They are omnivores. They're also scavenger animals, so they can pretty much eat anything. They're also, in general, a lot less aggressive than their wolfy forebears. Are dogs, in the world of Beastars, meant to be an attempt to create the perfect beast? As I said before, I have a feeling that Itagaki only thought of this after the fact. I mean, dogs are everywhere in the real world, so why wouldn't you have dogs in your furry world? Makes sense. I mean, it makes sense until you start to think about it, and I think the same happened with her. She started to realize, how are dogs here? What even are dogs? What kind of concerted effort has been made to maintain a breeding program for dogs? Are these worrying realities for this world? Should everyone in the world of Beastars be absolutely terrified for when Fido Hitler is born? Let's cool off a bit here. Eugenics is a bad thing. I do hope that I have made that clear during this rant today. And it doesn't really matter whether eugenesis methods are used on humans or non-human animals. It's always pretty messed up. And most of us don't even consider what we do to dogs to be in any way related to eugenics. I mean, eugenics is a naughty bad word that calls to mind racists and colonists. It's not a word that we associate with our friendly little pooches, is it? The fact that most of us would never even blink an eye at the fact that dogs, cows, chickens, and various other animals exist is probably a great victory for those who do like some of the results of eugenics. But understand that that particular word has kind of lost its allowability in our world, so we just don't call it eugenics, we call it selective breeding. And Beastars kinda allows us to slide a bit of the veil off that idea. It's not the real world, but we could breed humans for specific jobs. Those who would seek to do so probably just don't have the social capital to get away with it just yet, but that doesn't mean they'll never try in the future, and that's the problem with Jack in Beastars. He's the product of eugenics, and most of us would never even notice. If you want more overblown analyses, I might sometimes do them again. And if you like to do the liking and the commenting, and also you can buy some of my books. Today I will be recommending Mostly Rejected. It's a short story collection. How is that related to eugenics? Well, most of these stories were rejected, and so I published them together under this name as a joke. So Eugenics results in rejections? I don't know. Either way, you can find it in the description below.